Guys, the webinar is starting now. We'll start as soon as possible, within seconds now. So let us project at least. Okay, before Mr. Abdul, can you please start the screen? Yes. So guys, welcome to today's session on cloud computing. I hope that you will have a wonderful session today. And today's session will be taken by Mr. Abdul. So he would be introducing himself, and you would definitely love his session because and I would recommend that let's keep it very interactive so that you get answers to all your queries related to cloud computing, whether you want to go ahead with this field called cloud or not, and what should be your career path as well. So before we begin, I will introduce myself. So basically, guys, I'm Ajay Garg. I take care of product for Shine Learning. So that's what I do at Shine. So I would be taking 2 more minutes and pass it. Then I will pass it on to Mr. Abdul, and he can take it forward. So let's begin. So can we change the slide? So I would be briefing you about Shine Learning. What exactly is Shine Learning? So talking about the heritage of Shine, basically it's a part of Hindustan Times. So everyone must be knowing about Hindustan Times, right? So it has its presence in print, radio, and online segments. So in print, you must be, a lot of people would be already reading the newspaper, that is Hindustan Times, or online, in online segment hindustantimes.com. Radio also, it has its presence, that is Fever. And in apart from this, people are also aware of Shine.com. Shine.com is also a part of Hindustan Times group itself. And Shine.com, basically, you must be knowing that it is the second largest job portal in India. So this is the heritage of Shine Learning, and there comes the Shine Learning also. Shine.com, where it's the job portal. Shine Learning is the skills for a future ready career part. That is upskilling. So one relate to the job, and the second part relates to the upskilling of career. So moving to the next slide. So I would be briefing you only about Shine Learning and moving from its heritage part. Yeah, Mr. Abdul, can you change the slide? Yes. So Shine Learning is India's largest professional courses portal. If I talk about the number of courses on Shine Learning, it has more than, it's written in the presentation that 500 plus courses are there. But yeah, there are 800 plus courses. That is the recent update. And the courses caters in different categories. Not only it is restricted to the IT or tech courses. So if I talk about the range of courses, it is scattered around management. It has courses in management, management category, then tech category, then finance, data science, AIML, then any name the category, and it has its presence over there. And not only in the courses part, but yeah, we do offer job assistance services also, which help people in generally attracting recruiters and basically getting interview calls. Because yeah, nowadays what happens is generally people start looking out for job, but yeah, while recruiters are searching for those particular skills for the job, they don't find it in the candidate. So that's where the Shine Learning emerged, where they have started upskilling people in those areas where the recruiters are looking for. So basically, it tries to bridge the gap between the candidate and the recruiters. So we have partnership with all the tech companies around India, and we offer all such type of courses as well on our portal. And the vision is aligned in similar manner, that is upskill the Indian talent pool to adapt to the changing job market. So guys, I will not waste any time further, and I will hand it over to Mr. Abdul. I hope you have a very good session, and let's keep it very interactive so that we take back a lot of learnings while we end the session. So, Mr. Abdul, all yours.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much. Thanks for that introduction. And hey guys, it's me, Abdul. Just give me a moment. Yeah, hi. So it's me, Abdul Rashid Firoz Khan. You can call me Firoz, and I'm a Microsoft MVP on Azure. and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well. I work with the product team of Microsoft as a community support, doing it for Microsoft. I am majorly into the Azure platform. And this session is all going to be about cloud, right? And we'll be speaking about the different opportunities and the offerings that you have on the cloud and how Shine is working on towards the cloud as such, right? The courses that we have towards the cloud. So let me quickly get into the offerings that we have. Here, the offerings of this training session, which we are going to interact now, is going to be about the cloud computing basics. We are going to speak about the cloud computing basics that we have, and why do we need something called as a cloud, right? And it will also speak about like why should we opt towards a cloud environment as such. And furthermore, we'll be discussing about the difference that we have between the on-premise environment and the cloud environment. So we'll be comparing the terminologies that we have between the on-premise and the cloud. We'll also speak about the different service models that we have, like your IaaS, you say PaaS, SaaS, and more into like the deployment models, which cloud you need to opt for, right? We have something like a public cloud, and we also have private cloud, and more than that, we have the hybrid cloud where the payment gateway and everything works. And at top of all these things, we are also going to discuss about the cloud features that we have and the different sort of CSPs. We call it as cloud service providers, right? We'll be speaking about different guys like Azure. We'll be speaking about Amazon, which comes up with Amazon Web Services, and also about the other guys like GCP. We call him Google Cloud Platform, right? So we'll be discussing about all these things, and quickly we will go on with a demo showing you with the portal that we have. Right. There should be a background noise. Just bear on for a couple of minutes, right? It should be good to go. Here we'll be starting with the cloud computing basics, and we'll be discussing more about like the cloud computing is going to be about the generation that it's running across towards the features that we have today. And before this cloud computing terminology, we were working on with the on-premise environment. We had something called as data centers, right? We also were working on with something called as a server that we need to put it on at the on-premise environment. So we'll be putting up the server environment. We will come up with a scenario where you need to put up the server operating system. You need to have a network admin, right? You have to buy a stack of servers. We call it as hardware. You need to buy the servers. You need to put up the servers towards the premise environment that you have. And you also need to take care of the power backup that you're going to provide. And more than all these things, you need to ensure when there's a huge traffic that comes on your server, right? You need to come for scaling operations. You need more servers to be put up. And the topmost thing that sits at the head is that you should have something called as an admin guy who sits for the networking, who sits for the application runtime that has to be checked across, who has to maintain the servers, right? These were all the challenges that we had when we had something called as on-premise, and still there are folks who are still working on with on-premise. And now we have moved towards something called as cloud. The disadvantage that we had, right, that we have is like, excuse me, give me a moment, excuse me. So, yeah, thanks. The disadvantage that we have here, speaking about the cloud computing, is that you need to put up something called as a setup cost. And we will also come towards something called as a stack of servers that you no need to buy it across. You will go with a CSP like Amazon, or you will go with Microsoft, where you can buy the servers just for rent. You're not going to pay it, right? You're not going to pay for anything. You're just going to rent it across. So the capex that's involved is said to be very less. So that's like you have the very first thing that you need to fix towards on the on-premise environment, you have to put something called as a setup environment cost. We call it as capital expense that you need to put. And you also get something called as troubleshooting, right? When there's said to be like huge sort of business goals that you need to achieve. Take up Amazon. Amazon often comes with something called as a flash sale day, offers that you come across for different regional festivals, something like that. So to overcome all these things, you come up with cloud where you can do the scaling just for a day of time or like 2 days of time, something like that. And the commercial is that the payment is that you're going to pay for just that one day of time alone. The traffic is also going to be varying. Okay, your servers will be having at the runtime that you're going to have. The traffic is going to be varied. You can come up with components, right? You can come up with different components when you opt towards a cloud environment. You can say that I will stick towards a traffic manager, or I will stick towards a load balancer where I can route the traffic there. So to overcome all these disadvantages, taking up the key points, whatever I have discussed, you can stick towards the cloud. I have more and more points that I can discuss about why I need to stick towards a cloud environment. Cloud is not just about the storage, right? I often get many guys who used to say that cloud is a storage. Come on, cloud is not about the storage. Cloud has crossed the fingers where we have moved towards an environment where even IoT works. There's something called Internet of Things. Generations have gone beyond where we were working with something called as embedded. Now we have something called as artificial intelligence. So AI joining with the hands of Internet of Things, you can just put up the dimensions, you can put up how the devices has to work, you can train them, it can also learn on its own using deep learning or using machine learning, right? It can learn on its own and it can take it towards the next step, saying that this is exactly how a machine should communicate or how a machine should work as such. So that's exactly where we have launched up something like a auto driving car. The sensors have come across communicating the devices, saying that if there's an accident, the road signal has to take a photo of it and it has to pass towards the next communication what it has to do, right? You also get lot and lot of data which is stored towards the cloud environment, and you need to synchronize towards the exact volume of data that you need. So again, there we stick towards the environment, which is called as a big data solution. You come up with a huge volume of data, you come with a big data solution over there. You can also store the data. You can just put it on a archive storage, right? And you can also have things like hot tier, cool tier. You don't need to worry about the storage space or anything. So this is all exactly where we have stick towards the cloud environment that we have. And furthermore, this is about the cloud, right? Or I just need something to be interactive. I can come up with few questions from you guys to be answered as well. Can you just say what the cloud is all about? How the cloud is going to help you, what the cloud is about. What is a cloud? Let's make it interactive, please. Doesn't mean even if your answer is wrong or anything, let's make it interactive to make sense that we have something going on. Hi Ganesh, I am working as a Microsoft SQL database admin. Okay, can I move it to the cloud computing platform? Yes, you can move it towards the cloud. You can just put up something like a migration tool where you can move the things towards the cloud environment. Hi Ajay. Cloud is centralized location from everywhere you can connect. True. Yes, that's right with the point. It's all centralized and it has more and more sort of integration tools that we have. And it's on demand IT services. Exactly. It's available on your doorsteps. You can just opt towards it. Anything else? Anything more? It's a distribution environment. Yes, distribution environment is, excuse me. Yeah, distributed environment is something like you're going to come up with things saying that I have a data which has to be available on the global locations. You need to say that I need to integrate the open source tools as well. Microsoft is not an open source guy, still they support open source environments on the integration. So you have softwares which are available at doorstep. And Sandeep, where we can rent the services or servers, you can do it when you stick towards a CSP, like Amazon, right? You have Microsoft. They come up with a platform and you can buy. I mean, not, I cannot use the terminology as buy, but I can say that you can rent the servers or the services. Hey, Anand, difference between cloud computing and mobile computing. Cloud computing is something which is more into like, it's gonna be like you do things which are said to be completely on cloud. You're not going to store any data on your on-premise environment or anything. Mobile computing is like a definition that we had before getting onto the AI services, IoT, all these things. You need to transfer the data which was all into the grid and the SMS services, right? So that was about the mobile computing that we had. Yes, this is exactly where, Ranjit, I really appreciate that. This is exactly what I was looking for, the answer. You can use DevOps, you can use IoT, you can use Hadoop services, right? It has come up with a terminology just saying that the SLA is completely removed, right? The SLA is like 0.1 percentage what you have in the environment today. All right. Please tell me the relation between the cloud and REST APIs. Subhashis, let's speak about it. Okay. I'm just going to stick towards the question. Okay, I'm going to just stick towards the question, which is going to be covered on the slides which I have. Okay, let's not jump into it. It's a mixed crowd of audience. We have people who are just new to cloud, and there might be folks who are also an expert on cloud, right? Let's stick towards the slide that we have. Okay, all right. Well, here we go. The cloud is all about the integration that you have towards the DevOps environment, the integration that you have towards your tools, which is said to be like open source platforms, etc. And somewhere it's also supported with the Windows operating systems. The cloud is going to be more into the huge space that you're going to take it on the online. You take the advantage of collection of the servers that you have, right? You have more number of servers, you can do the orchestration. Either you go with a Hyper-V or you go with something called as a Docker. I hope you should have heard about it. We have Docker, we have Kubernetes. Okay, you can use those things. And what about cloud computing? Cloud computing is just all about like you store the data and you process the data from the servers. You can access the data from anywhere, right? You can manipulate the data, you can communicate it towards a different point of service that you have. Okay, so that's all about like you go with your cloud environment. We also have the environment, which is said to be a comparison that you have between the on-premise environment and the cloud computing. On-premises, ideally, it's more and more into the cost that you have, and you have a major manpower that you need to put it across. The maintenance cost and everything is said to be high. When you speak as you go with the payment mode, right, the commercial that you have, it's said to be highly costable, which is at on-premise. Whereas the cloud is like rented. You're going to pay for what you're going to use. There you go. It's also easy, like you go with a predictive cost environment, you get a pricing calculator which can speak about what's going to be the cost that you have. Yep. And furthermore, you also have the security factors. The security factors has to be taken by your own hands, right? You need to set up the security, might be a firewall security that you have, or even a natural security attack that might happen, right? You need to preserve it. Provided when we speak about cloud, it's exactly a data center. It's going to be a physical data center which is available at geolocation, and that's going to be taken care by the cloud service provider like Microsoft or like Amazon, right? So those guys will take care of it. And it also comes up with the implementation. When I say that you need to spin up a server, when I say you need to spin up a software or something, it takes a lot of time to buy the server and to initiate the server processing. Whereas here, I can just say that I need a virtual machine which has to run up with Windows Server, right? Or with Ubuntu, something like that. I can also create a replica. Let's say that I have some collection of data which is said to be at South India, and I need all these data to be replicated towards Seattle or towards Reading, something like that. I can do it at instant of minutes. That's exactly where we opt towards a cloud computing environment. It also has more flexibility, which can say that I can integrate the tools. We were speaking about something called as DevOps. You can go up with any time which is said to be on the CI and CD. Either it might be from the staging towards the production, or you need to do the vice versa that you have. Here we go with the statement of what is a cloud service. The cloud service is like whatever the service that we were discussing now is offered by a platform, right? We come up with a platform where the web processing, the application development, the service that you're going to come up with, the storage, the backup that it has to be taken, the DR that you have, right? All these things will be taken care by the cloud service provider. That's exactly where we opt towards an environment called as cloud service. You can just ask them in case if you have any clarifications to be done. You can fix towards the troubleshooting points where Microsoft is going to take care or Amazon is going to take care. Okay, You will also come up with the service models over there. I hope you guys should have heard about it. You come up with three things: IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS structure that we have. When I say infrastructure as a service, the IaaS is gonna be okay. Let's start from here. This should be an easy way for you. Let's speak from SaaS, right? The software as a service is like the ready software that you have it that you're going to consume it on your own. Take WhatsApp, right? You just send them messages. You cannot do any other things on a WhatsApp. You take up things like Messenger, right? Or you take up Gmail, you have Outlook, Calendar. You can just put up your schedules that you have, the invites that you have, the mails that you want to read across. So all these things, you no need to install it. Whether you either you can go up with a browser, you have web.whatsapp.com, you have Outlook, you have Gmail, right? You can just go, you can read the mail, you can send messages, and you log out. That's said to be a software service. The software is ready available on the cloud. The security for the software, the security of the breach that it has to take across, all these things will be managed by the cloud service provider. The more and more point is that the end customer is exactly where the market that's going to reach across. Here I have given a comparison between the advantages that you have and the disadvantages that you have. The advantage is that, let's say I have a mobile, I have an iPad, or I have an laptop, something like that. It might be any device, just a browser is enough to go with. I can consume the software there. I can also come up with vendors. Okay, you can just put up with the vendors to provide the modest software that you have. Take an example of the WebEx that we are using right now, right? It can be allowed for multiple tenants as well. And a disadvantage is that it's not an easy job to do the portability. It's not like I can do the lift and shift operations over there as such. I cannot go even for an operation where I can say that if the browser is failed, let's say if it's not supporting for Internet Explorer, then the market of software is going to be on the compliance. I also have the restriction where few softwares don't allow you to use it. Let's say maybe WhatsApp could be banned by some countries or anything like that, right? So they all we come up with these regional defects that you have. Any questions on the software as a service? Hi Parth, you can type your questions over here, the exactly where you have typed now, right? And your answers will be replied on the voice. Okay, you will not get a chat reply, provided you will get it as a voice. Any questions until this, guys? Yeah, plenty many questions. All right. So now it's all gonna be like in a conference. I heard that Amazon is integrating machine learning offering in the cloud platforms. Like, how do they provide it? Yes, they have already done it, Subhashish. They have the environments like you have you have machine learning which comes up with AWS. You have a portal for that. You can just go there. You can train the models. You can learn from the data sets. Right? It's already available there. How about license? If you go for software services, license is also going to be as a pay as you go that you have. Hi, Jyoti. Portability. Yes, let's say that you have hosted your software as a service application on a particular data center region. And in case if you're saying that I need to migrate all these things towards a different thing, then there's a problem with the REST APIs. REST is based on the exact data center location. If you're giving up with a storage, right, you will say that it's going to be software as a service, and the software is going to be like it's like maybe it's going to be used by some clients. Okay, it comes up with a REST endpoint like abc.westindia.net or something like that, and it's not going to be easy to do the mapping, right? It's moreover like you need to come up from the scratch. I hope you're getting it. I appreciate that, Srinivas and Vasavi. Hi Ranjit, what are the most relevant tools that we can use for IaaS to get a job? Ranjit, I will stick to this question. Please post me the question based on the slide. I will speak about IaaS and then we will speak about the IaaS thing. Okay. Please make sure that you'll be sticking towards the question which is based on the slide. We have plenty many participants, okay, and let's not get into jump towards the different thing. That might be a disappointment for the other participants as well, please. Hi, Arun. Can you please give real-time example? Yes, exactly. That's what I said, right? You have WhatsApp, you have Gmail, you have Outlook. So that's all like a software that you have on the cloud environment. Different layers used by cloud architecture. Anil, we'll be discussing about that once when I cover the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. I'll be speaking about the different layers that we have. No worries, Sanjay. That's fine. Anand, I hope your question is answered. Any extra charges applicable on a platform as a service? Atul, yes, PaaS is said to be a bit costly one compared towards your SaaS applications. Any other questions? How about data transfer and bandwidth? Is it not a Yes, it's an advantage that you have. It's not about like a disadvantage or anything. It's like an advantage that you have because the data is going to be transferred with optical fiber communication. You'll also come up with a dedicated network channel in case if you're saying that you're going to operate like a banking industry or something. You need a faster nexus, right? In those cases, you will come up with dedicated bandwidth and transfer for you. How secure SaaS is depends on the network security group, right? You come up with inbound and outbound rule. So it depends on that how it's going to be, I mean, secured as such. Okay. How about database as a service? What about database also comes under both the combination of PaaS and the SaaS. Compliance restrictions, yes, Neeraj, it's there. You have compliance restrictions. It's based on the developer who is going to come across the software. Okay. All right. So with this, I will take forward towards the next one, which is said to be a PaaS. PaaS is your platform as a service, which stands for, and you will also come up with the options where you can select the OS, you can select the language on which it is going to be developed and deployed, and it also comes you with the different flavors of the database that you can use. Okay, so when I say programming language, it's about the developer track that you're going to use. And for the operating system, it might be Windows, it might be Linux, but you don't have the option to say what version of Windows or what version of Linux you're going to use. It's going to be the advanced version that they have by default. It might be like Windows Server 2019, or it might be a Linux server with 16 Ubuntu something, right? Database, you have the options. You can say it might be a SQL database, or it might be like a MongoDB, PostgreSQL, anything. It also provides the encapsulation for you where you take the advantage of adding the certificates, doing the encryption, right? Adding up the security layers. So it's all on your hands. You can build, you can compile, right? You can run the programs which can be on different platforms. So that's also possible. You'll also come up with a user managed data and the applications that you have. You can manage the data, you can put up the applications, okay? You can run the resource, you can even change the data at any time, and you can come up with a CI and CD functionality over there as well. The major usage for the platform as a service is going to be done by developers like DBs, right? Database, web application developers, okay, those guys will take care of it. The advantages that you have in the platform as a service is said to be on the scalable and the cost effective environment. Anytime if you say that I need to go up with scalability, I need to come up with huge sort of bandwidth that has to be used or something, then we will go with this particular functionality feature, okay, the scalability that you have. It also comes up with a specific functionality saying that it gives you the faster environment. You have the service plans which you can select, and that will say that what sort of application that you're going to use, right? Take WordPress, you can just drag and drop the things. You can select the service plan, costing plan based on the compute that you're going to use. Okay. It also helps you on the deployment of the web applications more like WordPress, Joomla. Okay. You can even host your simple HTML or .NET application that you have. It provides the functionality for your public deployment, and you can also make it at your own premise environment, which is said to be the private one. Again, the problem here is that you have to stick towards the language which is supported by the cloud service provider. I'm just saying for an example, let's say that if Alibaba is not going to support for Python, then there's no way that you can develop applications based on Python. And it's also like developer limited. Okay, you're going to come up with developer limited functionalities. You have the migration issues over there. Okay, and you have the vendor lock-in as well. So the vendor is going to take care about all these factors. Migration issue is something like if you want to do some lift and shift operations, there's said to be downtime again. Okay. Hi Raman, is server comes as software service or IaaS? Server, there are two things. When you speak about a database, you create a logical server, right? For a SQL database, you will be creating a SQL logical server. That comes as a software as a service. Whereas when you say that you need to put up a virtual machine, let's say Windows Server 2019 or SQL Server, something like that, that will come under infrastructure as service. Okay. Hi Mohit. Yes. Any questions? Oh, that's a long question. I'm saying busy that you have networking course, but confusing between. Mohit, let's take this question once when we are done with the session. Okay, please brief me about Developers Limited. Developers Limited is exactly what I was speaking about, the language, right? The platform which you're going to develop across. Let's say that you're a .NET developer, and if you're looking for something which has to put across like SQL with a PHP application or something like that, then it's like finger crossed. What is public and private cloud? We are going to speak about it on the further slides. Okay, so I will keep this question on hold. What are the security risks with platform as a service? You don't have the control over the networking here. You don't have things like I can define the network security group with the incoming and outgoing connection as such. So that's said to be the security risk that you have in the past. But as a normal topology, you have the SSL and the security facts like port 80 to be blocked. All these things will be taken care by the CSP. Pawan, this question is completely based on the cloud service provider. Let's say that who is going to be the CSP as such, you need to check the history of the CSP. Okay, so that's exactly where it's gonna work across. SQL Server and database in AWS versus Azure, considering migration performance and price. Srinivas, please let's stick towards the slide. Okay. SQL Server database in AWS and Azure is going to be the same, but more it depends on like which data center region you are going to deploy across. Considering the migration, it depends like if you want to migrate it from a data center which is said to be at on-premise towards a cloud, then you need to check the data center region. Performance is ideally speaking, it's high for a SQL Server DB on an Azure environment because they come up with elastic pooling, they come up with your geo replication on different layers. Okay, so that's said to be like advantage. Pricing wise, it's gonna be like moreover the same that you have between AWS and Azure. It's not that different. You can check the pricing calculator for that. Nowadays, data breach is the main concern, but how to overcome with this? Because we don't have come on, let's take this question at the final stage. Let me complete the terminologies first. John, any chance to data loss from migration? Chances are there like data leakage might happen. You need to check that. You need to put up a pipeline where a temporary storage will be established there. How we will know who all access a database? You have the logs. You have a log analytics which can check the logs of different servers, IP servers, and it also comes up with a functionality saying that who is gonna consume your database as such. Okay, you can whitelist, you can block the IP addresses, you can do all those things. Any other questions? Excuse me. All right. Here we go with the infrastructure as a service. So the infrastructure as a service is going to be more about like you have to take care of your networking environment, and you need to take care about how you're going to provision the service. You have to say what sort of storage you're going to use, the operating system that you're going to spin it across, the virtualization layer, like if you're going to use Hyper-V or if you're going to use things like your containers, right? You have to take care about all these things. The users can handle the data, they can come up with a middleware. The vendors can also manage the resource. Okay, so those things will be used by the infrastructure service. The end consumer of this infrastructure service is going to be the networking admins or the infra admins, right? The server administrators who are going to take care about it. This is completely a crack where if you're going to put up a huge workloads of environment, then you will stick towards the infrastructure as a service. The advantages that you have in the infrastructure is that you can provision your own cloud environment saying the network that you have. But you need to ensure that you will select a better computing tier. You need to make sense that it's more like the flexibility that you have the more of scalability. Okay, it also comes up with dynamic workloads which are supported as well. The disadvantages that you have here is that, of course, I would not say it as a disadvantage, but we need to be a core expert on the security blocks. You need to know like the network security group that you have, the inbound and the outbound, okay? The service delays that you have, the SLAs, okay? You need to put up the DI, disaster recovery. Let's say in case if the data center region goes down, you need to ensure that there will be a backup for your operations. The networking delay is that you need to ensure that again you will put up a better service functionality, right? You need to come up with like dedicated fiber connection for you as such. So that's exactly where we come up with the infrastructure as a service. This is a core important slide that you guys need to make sense about. See, you have something like a cloud service that you speak about, right? And these are the basic terminologies that you have. When I say data, the data that you have, the data that you're going to store, the application that you're going to develop, the runtime on which it's going to run, like a .NET Core or platform oriented, the middleware on the operating system, like a Hyper-V, and the software, the hardware that you're going to use. Okay, it's going to run on Windows Server or on a Linux one. So that all these things are going to be managed by you. And when I say infrastructure managed by the vendor, you will say that virtualization is by default, it's Hyper-V that Microsoft or even Amazon is going to use when it's a Windows server or any EC2, right? When it's going to be a container layer, then the orchestration changes there. You might be using a Docker Swarm, or you might be using DCOS, or let's say a Kubernetes engine. Okay, so the virtualization is managed by vendor once when you select that. You will also come up with a server saying that what sort of server you're going to use exactly. Is it going to be a Windows server or it's going to be a Linux one? And the storage, and you also have the networking protocol where you have to say, is it going to be a public cloud or a private cloud? Like you're going to put up the network security group for that. Is that okay? Any questions on this part on IaaS? Yeah, there are a few questions. Give me a moment. Nitin, sure, we'll be having a recap before I end the session. Okay, so just be with us. Example for IaaS is Ganesh, take up banking applications, take up your Flipkart, your Amazon, right? All these things works in IaaS. It runs on a server machine. Right. Any other questions? Okay. So when I say PaaS, right? Take up an example for a PaaS, which is a web application. You're going to develop a web application, okay, and you need to put up your environment assets. So there you go for PaaS. The PaaS is all about like you put up your data. You will put up the data, you will put up the application that you have, the HTML application or the ASP.NET application that you have, and you can host it across. Okay. So the point over here is that I can come up with a runtime, I can come up with middleware. All these things are going to be taken care by the CSP. That's your Azure or AWS, someone like that. And you can also come up with the data, you can come up with the applications, right? You can manage the things over there. So that's exactly where like you host your application, you host your data. Okay, a simple website. You go with a WordPress, you can drag and drop the plugins, you can host it. You also have the SaaS, that's your software as a service, where you just have the data. You receive the mails, you put up the calendar invite, right? Gmail, Outlook, okay? So you take care of the data alone. Rest of the things is going to be played by the developer or by the CSP. Atul, we are yet to speak about the public, private, and hybrid cloud. Please hold on, okay? And Lokesh, web designing and development, is it good or not? It's good, but you need to come up with something like a hybrid cloud that you need to establish, right? You need to know more about like how you're going to put up the environment with payment gateway all. Okay, web development is all like it's crossed with the generations that you have. Hi Nitin, if you can do tell me, digital marketer, not a developer, how it can help me. Thanks. Digital marketer, what's exactly the role of operation that you do on a digital marketer? Please keep this question at the last. Okay, give me another 5 minutes. I will close with the definitions for the public, private, and the hybrid cloud. Then you can take it forward. Okay. Data is also included in PaaS and SaaS with the DB service in cloud like RDBMS. You're right, Nakshatra. You're right. It's like when you put up a database, it can either come as an instance or it can even come as a PaaS. Okay, and it's also available as software as service when you speak about like a MongoDB or Cassandra, Graph API, right? So it's a combination. It's going to be based on the services or the terminologies that you use, like on your IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Hi, the middleware is going to be like a network interface card that can communicate between the hardware and the software. All right. Okay, guys. So here you need to understand the basic terminologies that we have, the deployment models. You have three things as a public cloud, private cloud, and a hybrid cloud. When I say public cloud, there's a service provider, right? Like a Microsoft who can host your applications, who can keep your storage, okay? And it's generally available at all time over the internet. It's also easy. It's not that expensive. Like Azure is not expensive, right? Because the hardware, your software, and everything is gonna be a rented service. You're not going to buy it. You're going to rent it, and there's no wastage on the resource that you're going to buy. You can opt at any time, and you can run the environment. The private cloud is more like the terminology that we use for something called a on-premise environment. The server is going to be available at your place. Okay, you're going to give the compliance, you're going to take the direct control. You have service like Azure Stack. You can buy it, you can keep it at your run step environment, at your doorstep. And hybrid cloud is said to be, let's say, for example, it's going to be a combination of your public and the private cloud that you have. The combination means that let's take up an example of your Swiggy or Uber Eats, something like that. You find the menu, you find the restaurants and everything, and there, let's say that you're going to order a product, you can select the restaurants, you can select the food that you need, and when you make the payment, right, it gets into the on-premise environment. That's the payment gateway. I hope you should have seen the payment gateway itself changes with a different URL, your HTTP or HTTPS URL. That's exactly where we go with hybrid cloud. It's a gateway where it joins the hands of the third party and your cloud environment. Okay, like Paytm, PayPal, all these guys don't give their saved data wallets, or they don't. The Visa cards and Mastercards will not give you the card details. Instead, you need to go across with the on-premise environment data center, and you have to make the transaction over there. So that's exactly the example where we stick towards a hybrid cloud. For security reasons, folks like Visa cards, Mastercards, PayPal, Paytm, all these people use something called as a hybrid cloud environment. Hi Nitin, I am on the position of head digital marketing, take care of team and handle almost all digital ideas like CMS, SEO, my profile commands, paid ads, social media. Okay, so in that case, you need to make sure that Nitin, what's going to be the availability, right? You are saying that you need to take care about the SEO, you need to take care about the media ads and everything that needs to come up with a high availability. Okay, so you have to ensure that how the cloud is gonna help you with the high availability. For marketing, you might be using SMS services like Twilio. You need to check whether that integration layer is available on the CSP as such. So that's gonna be the role that you have to play on the cloud environment. You'll be more like an architect who is going to say that what are the software designs that you're going to use. The different cloud providers that you have are supposed to be like a GCP, you have DigitalOcean, you have Azure, okay, all these guys. So you can stick towards any environments that you have from these guys. The cloud features that we came across is more about like either you can go with two things. One is a free of cost one, that's your free tier, and the other one that you have is a pay as you go. The free tier is that you pay for what you're going to use. That's your pay as you go. The free tier is that you get a limited period of time and you can pay for, you can just get the money to be consumed from that. You're not going to pay, you're just going to use it on a free trial. These are the pricing modes that you have. You can walk out at any time saying that you're not optimal with AWS or with Azure or something like that. Okay, so that's the advantage that you have. It goes with a pay-as-you-go service as well. Okay, and there's no upfront cost that you need to pay as such. And by any time, you can also check for the cost that's going to be involved using a tool called as pricing calculator. You will also come up with a real-time security. You will come up with logs which can check what's happening on your platform as such. You can put up the component saying that my application has to run only at India or only at US, something like that. You also have the support for different platforms like cross platforms. You can develop applications for Windows, Android, iOS. You can come up with DR tools. Let's say in case if the data center goes down, then what I need to do, right? So those things you can make sense. I'll give you a cloud demo on how you can activate your free trial. Okay, and the skill required for these things before getting onto the cloud environment is that you need to know what is the cloud computing. You should have the skills on the programming. Okay, you should know about networking, fundamentals on the security factors, understanding the services, the different services like your virtual machine, your web application, storage, all these things, and the patterns that we have in the cloud specific terminologies. Okay, and in case if you're confused about where to learn and all these things, you can just stick towards the Shine. You can just enroll now, okay, and you can take this forward towards Ajay. You can post the question, and we have given the contact detail of Raju as well over here to make sense about the cloud computing platform. I'll stick to your questions, and then we will move towards your demo. Okay, why many company go with hybrid cloud? See, one thing is the cost, right? Because major of I could see the applications which are running still at the mainframe. So to overcome those things, they need to stick towards, right? And they also have the environment where we have to move towards something like you need to put up the security factors. They are not ready to give the data towards a cloud computing platform guy. So that's another reason, right? They don't want to take experimentations over there. That's one of the reasons that we have. Any site, any slide or URL you have when we compare the different service and hosting, the different, no, we don't have that, Nakshatra. We don't have that. You can just go up with the pricing calculators and you can make sense. Okay, I will show you now. So see here, guys, we have the cloud computing platform, right? I'm just opening up the server. All right. So let's go with two things. One is aws.amazon.com. So here you can you have this free trial which you can activate. You can say create a free account and you can create your free trial over here. Okay. So this is one of a CSP which we call it as AWS, right? So this is one guy, and you also have the other guy who comes up with a service calling it as portal.azure.com. You go here or you say azure.microsoft.com and you can make sense from here. Right, so this is going to be another way that you can work across. So here you can sign up for your free trials, okay, and you can take it forward. You have the pricing which you can check. You can go to the pricing, okay, and you can go for AWS as well, and you can check the pricing. See, we have the pricing tool here. You can select the services that you need and you can opt towards it. Okay, you can calculate, you can optimize your cost as well. So this should help you out. You can select the service plans. You have something called as a pricing calculator where you can check it like how much it's going to cost me for a VM on a particular data center region like that. You can say view, you can find it here. See, it gives you the billing, right? Nirav, I'm sorry, I'm not the right guy to answer that. I'm not aware about it. And hi, Pawan, for Ajay, may I know which is the vendor for the cloud computing platform? For UI developer, what's benefit of cloud computing? For a UI developer, you need to come up with the mobile apps, right? And when you stick towards Azure or AWS, you no need to code. You have something called as cloud formation in AWS, and in Azure, you have ARM template. So that can code on its own. You just need to give the parameters and the resource. That's it. Any other questions? No worries, Nitin. Come on. Nitin, the question was about the U for UI developers, how cloud is going to help. Okay, so you have tools like Cloud Formation and ARM templates. So those things can take care. You no need to worry about the programming over there. It's asking for credit card. Yes, you need to give the credit card details for verification purpose, Srinivas. Okay, don't worry, you're not going to be billed. What about cloud architect? Raman, for a cloud architect, you need to know what all the different sort of cloud services that you have and when you need to fit in as such. For a cloud architect, you have a course which is specified by AWS and Azure as well, so you can stick towards that. In an IT organization, who team would be responsible for pricing on cloud? Ideally, the architects has to take care of it. Anand, what is free tier duration Azure? It's for 1 month, Atul. What skills is required in requirement in cloud computing? You need to understand about data centers. You need to understand about storage, like RAID concepts that you have, data structure terminologies, and OOPS. So that should be good to go. No, the AWS is not for 1 year. They make the branding as 1 year, but you get into AWS, you can find for EC2, they give you a particular hour of time. So it's based on that, okay, not as a 1 year overall. Yes, still you can stick towards it, Rama Dwadasi. You can stick towards cloud. Okay, you no need to worry about the programming because cloud does the code on its own. It might be Azure or it might be AWS, but Azure does more. Hey Ajay, for cloud, from where to start for beginner? You need to start from either AWS fundamentals or Azure fundamentals. You first need to make sure about which CSP you're going to opt in. Hi Rajesh, comparing AWS and Azure, which one is simple to learn and go for certification? Uh, I don't make it as a challenged one either for AWS or Azure as such. It's all like they do the same things. But Azure goes more flexible compared to its AWS for a beginner. Is cloud support SDN? Are you asking for CDN or you're asking some other thing? Can you make it clear, Raman? Should I go for all the cloud certifications or specific to? I would tell you that you need to stick towards a specific CSP as such. It's good to know about all the CSPs, but still going towards a certification track, please stick towards one particular. I tried relation database service on AWS and I realized later that charges were $25. So how to go about using Microsoft SQL? Yeah, that's like you need to pay. Even if you're using MS SQL, you need to pay for that, which is said to be as pay as you go because you cannot avoid the payment. Being a DBA, what would be the proper certification Azure? For a DBA, you need to search for SQL Server uh, certifications. Ajay, for what you're asking whether programming is required, for cloud computing certifications, I would say that a basic OOPS knowledge is enough. Hi Prakash, I missed some part of this webinar. Okay, you can check with the recording in case if you're getting it. All right, any other questions? What does mean by CSP you're talking? It's not CSP, it is CSP, Cloud Service Provider. Hi Raman, I'm sorry, I'm not sure about the SDN on the cloud. What's skill required for this, please let me know. I told you, right, Atul, OOPS, terminologies on your cloud, right, and the on-premise understanding, storage, right, data structure, that should be good to go. After learning what jobs are related, anything that you're going to stick towards a cloud migration, right, that should be optimal for you, Rama. Do we create our own cloud? That's not possible, Raman. You cannot create your own cloud environment. How can you do that? We need to stick towards a CSP. With the certification course, do you provide material and assurance for exam? We provide the learning material and we will assist you with the hands-on, okay? And assurance of exam, yes, we give you with the sample questions, okay? But you need to work a lot on the hands-on to make sure that you will be clearing the certification. Should I require deep computer knowledge to join for AWS course? Absolutely. You need to know about the networking. You need to know about the storage to join this course. Being a Linux admin, which certification is good for cloud? Ideally, AWS Architect. What those provider do with the data after we end a service? They remove your data. It's like a costing for them. In case if you're walking out from CSP, they're going to delete your data. Yes, OOPS is more into programming. It's a basic terminology. You need to know that. What is security management in terms of cloud computing? It's about your network security group, your inbound rules that you're going to define, the outbound rules that you have on it. OpenCV is one of our open source operating platform that you have, Raman. How lengthy is the presentation of course for certification? I'm not sure about this, Tanmay. You can ask this towards the Shine team. Should I require deep computer? Okay, that's answered. The course will be focusing more onto the AWS track, okay, and we have a bit more on the touch base of the Azure as well. As a STWA and administrative full form certificate is good. Again, I would say it's AWS Architect. Do you offer online sessions for preparation of certification? Yes, Tanmay, we do. You can reach Shine for that. I gave you the contact details, right? You can reach that. Uh, Ashish Agarwal, you need to stick towards AWS Infra. Okay, that should help you out. Or Azure implementation, that should help you out. Well, guys, any other questions? All right. Yes, Rajesh, all companies will be moving towards the IT operations. You're right. Difference between AWS SysOps and Architect. SysOps is going to speak more about the system operations, troubleshooting, monitoring, right? Architect is going to speak about which service you need to opt for laying an architecture. Well then, so thanks for your time. Thanks for joining. I am passing it all to the hands of Ajay to take it forward.
Hi all. Yeah. So sorry guys, sorry for the tech error. Yes, so guys, so it was a wonderful session. I hope you got queries to all your queries resolved as well. So we'll do one thing. I'll put the contact details of Mr. Raju and his team also in the chat window right away, and you can call them, or the team will also reach out to you for further details and for further answer resolution. So queries resolution, you can reach out to them otherwise on the contact details as well. And yes, so while we have an offer also for people who are looking for entering into the cloud computing domain, that is for AWS certifications. So that offer is for till tomorrow. So you can basically with this certification you get job assistance services also worth rupees 6,000 for free, and my team would be able to brief you these services better. So anything related to cloud computing also, you are free to ask the team also. And right now also, since though we have the session is over, but still, while I complete my pitch, you can probably keep on asking your questions. Otherwise, what we can do is we can end this webinar. So I'll be waiting for another 1 minute for any other queries, or else we can wind it up. So Mr. Kashinath Rama. So his question is, so Mr. Abdul, can you take up a couple of more queries? We have another 4 to 5 minutes. We can close it after that.
Sure, Ajay. Yeah. Hi, Kashinath. Your programming is zero. Yes, you can. I told you right. But you need to know. Oops. You need to know the basic terminologies of coding. If not, it's gonna be challenge for you. You need to know object-oriented programming. Only then you can take it forward. How much price? Looks like there was some question about the price for AWS course. Maybe Ajay, you can take that question. Looks like it has been removed. Can we
Uh,
have a webinar session video? Again, Ajay, can you
sure.
help them with the video if possible?
Sure,
Yeah.
guys, everyone, for everyone, the recordings will be available within 24 hours. So by tomorrow, I'll do one thing. I'll ask my team to send across the recording link to everyone, and yeah, it will be uploaded on the YouTube channel as well of Shine Learning, so you can get it from there. Secondly, the question which Tanmay and Nakshatra and many other people are also asking, Ganesh. So basically, the costing of the certification is 19,000 inclusive of GST as well, and along with this you get job assistance services for free, and last but not the least, you get badging also on shine.com, which will be available for the recruiters to see that you are AWS certified. So this will be playing a key role going forward in the industry, because none of the people, as of now, recruiters have also started looking for people, the skills in you, and while they search for those skills, they will be able to and you will be tagged as AWS architect on shine.com on your resume as well, and then recruiters can shortlist your resumes very easily. So this will be an add-on service for free of cost right now if you join by tomorrow itself. And yes, Nakshatra, Ganesh, Tanmay, Nitin, everyone, my team will reach out to you within 24 hours, and you can ask them any queries related to the course or certification or anything related to your career as well. They will be able to provide you a service 24/7. Thank you, guys. Puneet, this course is for practitioner or for architect. So we have multiple courses, Puneet. So we can provide you whatever. We'll do one thing. You can have a proper counseling session with my team, and they will be able to suggest you that where should you be able to how you can start your course in which area, basically, as a practitioner or an architect as well. So I hope I am answering your query.
Yeah, Ajay, give me a moment. Hi, Ganesh. As a Microsoft SQL DBA, I would like to go with Azure. Which certificate would help me? I would suggest you to go with AZ203, which is about the development certification track that you have, Ganesh. And hi, Nitin, for UI developer, AWS Cloud Solution Architect certificate is useful or not? Once again, for a UI developer, you need to stick towards the AWS development track more than the architect. This course is for practitioner of architect. Whatever we were discussing until now is all based on the architect's role, Puneet. Which module requires least programming? Kashinath, see, whatever the service that you're going to speak across at the back end, there's said to be like a parameters, there's said to be a code that's going to be formed, right? So it's not about like based on the module or anything. Let's say if you're going to say on the module, even the networking that you're going to lay right at the back end, it's going to have some templates, some scripts. You should have the basic programming knowledge of whatever the module that you're going to cover. You need to have a basic programming knowledge then. Well, any other questions?
So I think Abdul, let's close it. So I think all
Yeah,
the questions are over. So thanks,
yes.
Abdul, for a very interesting and very detailed out session on cloud computing. I think we covered all the basics as well, and you have answered all the queries as well. And indeed, it was a very interactive session where you tried your level best to make it very interactive and answer all the queries. And I think it's done. And indeed, the audience was also very interactive, and they heard everything. And I hope they have got answers to all their queries. So thank you,
Hmm.
everyone. Thanks for today's session. So we'll close the session here. Thanks.
Well, thanks, Ajay. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Bye bye.